Time travel's weird. It's been a while since I've fully beaten Tears of the Kingdom. It's been out for over a year now, so I figured now is definitely the time to talk about it, I guess. But I've actually had this thought that I keep coming back to that I kind of just wanted to speculate and talk about today that has to do with the time travel in Tears of the Kingdom with Zelda going back into the past. The Master Sword gets broken, and it's not good anymore. So Link just sends it into a portal to send to Zelda back in the past, even though I don't think at that point he knows that Zelda's back in the past, but it goes somewhere. That's all he cares about. It goes somewhere, and hopefully that means that it'll return to him eventually. And then you fast forward, after doing some exploring and playing the story a little bit, then you figure out a few things. Zelda's a fucking dragon. That's cool. The Master Sword is in her head because for some explanation, the Master Sword, when rested, recharges and becomes more powerful the longer that time passes. It's been a minute. I probably should have refreshed myself on the cutscenes before I did this. That kind of confuses me too, because theoretically, like, it's not in the Master Sword pedestal, and they made it seem like that didn't matter. Which apparently it doesn't, because it was in Zelda's dragon head. So does it just have to be in like an immortal sacred being or like the sacred realm? I have no idea. I don't know if they explain it. Maybe I'm just an idiot. The more that time's passed, I'm guessing, and I think a bunch of people have theorized, that it's over 10,000 years from when Zelda's way in the past. Sonia and Rauru are the first royal people of Hyrule, so I would assume that it's a long-ass time. So between Zelda being back in the past and being an immortal dragon, up until the point that Link gets the Master Sword back out of her head, there are two Master Swords, and theoretically two Zeldas, that are just in the midst in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, that are just existing, and that confuses my brain. I know I'm not the first person to realize this. I'm probably also really late to the party talking about it. How does that work? How does that work? They already did it with the timeline, and it made stuff way more confusing than it had to be. And then Nintendo made a timeline that so people would shut up. And so, like, they're doing it again to where it's like, oh yeah, like, technically all the timelines converge onto Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, to where now there is a Master Sword in the Lost Woods with the Great Deku Tree. According to this story that they're telling, if Zelda has been an immortal dragon for tens of thousands of years flying around in the sky with all the other dragons, then theoretically in Breath of the Wild, we would have seen a white dragon flying around, and she would have had a Master Sword in her head. So how does that work? How does all that work? I don't know. We'll never know. Dude, also, how did any other Link use the Master Sword while it was healing? If like tens of thousands of years have passed, and I know the reincarnation of the spirit of the hero or whatever doesn't happen like all the time, but you can't tell me that like tens of thousands of years passed without another iteration of like Link, Zelda, Ganon. And that confuses me on its own, because if I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole, then we're gonna be here. Because like, I never understood the whole Calamity Ganon while Ganondorf was underneath the castle. People have tried to explain to me that it's just like his malice and his essence, like the thing that originally corrupted the divine beasts. Like, that is what turned into the Depths Goo. I forget what it's called in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm a terrible Zelda fan, I know. But, like, that also confused me. Was that just his essence? Because Zelda in Breath of the Wild was like, he gave up on reincarnation for a pure enraged form, and that was the pig Ganon. But then also he was, like, underneath the castle. So, like, does that still count as giving up on reincarnation because we killed him? That's a discussion for another day. Were there just not any reincarnations? I know no one has an answer. I get it. I'm barking up a tree that I'm never gonna get any solutions to. Cool, dude. What the f? Why does time travel exist in video games, and why would Nintendo go back and do that again when they know that it makes it so confusing? Was this like trying to be their solution to tie everything back together in the timeline? Well, guess what, bud? You just fucked everything up, because now it's even more confusing. It's pointless to even talk about, because I can't go into a copy of Breath of the Wild and go up to her and find a Master Sword and then have two Master Swords. Like, I know what I'm asking is an impossible ask. It interests me. It makes me curious. Did they think that through? I don't know. Like, what is that? Does that do anything? Does that do anything? It's so, like, you would feel like something would happen to where it would make something not right. Imagine, I know they'll never do this, if they just silent updated Breath of the Wild to like put Dragon Zelda and the Master Sword in the game. Like, what a cool Easter egg that would have been. Like, a year later, they just patched Breath of the Wild for no reason, and people are like, what is this? And then they go in, or like they play Breath of the Wild, and then they just see her in the sky. That would confuse the hell out of me. Trying to think like I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. Like, imagine you got onto her head, and then you saw the Master Sword and you tried to pull it and it like crashed your game or something. I know they're never going to do that. I just like speculating. Are they going to do anything with any of this? Or is it really just... Like, I know we're not getting a DLC. That's not what I'm saying either. Like, I'm not expecting some weird DLC to come out of this at all. In terms of moving forward, well, no, I guess not. Because, like, they're not doing... They already said that after this one, they're not staying in, like, that Zelda universe. Like, they are going to move on and make another open world Zelda that's like a completely different like environment and story, which I enjoy. I want that. It's so weird that that's the route that they took. I have no answers. I have nothing. I have no crackpot theory. I have no like, this is what would happen if I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have answers. I don't know. That's all I wanted to talk about. It's just, it's been eating away at me. And I'm never gonna have an answer. Like, they're never gonna like be like, yeah, dude, like this happens. So I guess I'm just stuck with my own thoughts, and now you guys are stuck with me too. Sorry, but if you didn't think about it, now you do. Misery loves company.